This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another AskProfWolff question from our Patreon community, and is this one from Ben Rao. He asks about Benito Mussolini, the major fascist leader of Italy in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s of the last century, who had begun life as a socialist, and Ben is interested in how that transition happened and what might explain it. Well, this has happened fairly often in history. People who start off as fascists become socialists, and vice versa. Benito Mussolini is the movement from socialist to fascist, which has probably been seen more often. So let's start with what both socialists and fascists have in common. They tend to be people who look upon the society as no longer tolerable. You see spurts of interest in socialism and fascism when capitalism breaks down. The 1930s was a perfect example. Today is a perfect example. Capitalism isn't working well for the majority of people, and you see some moving to the right, the Republican Party moving to the right, in a direction that ends up in fascism, even if it hasn't got there yet. And you also see people going to the left, looking for solutions over there, because the middle, where an awful lot of people were content to be, is no longer reasonable because the society appears to be falling apart, and the people who were the reasonable leaders are the ones that got us here. So what do the fascists usually mean? What does it mean? What do they want? What do they do? Mostly fascists in the history of that point of view have been very strong nationalists. That is, they're very excited about whatever particular nation they're in. Italian fascists were ferociously excited about the Italian nationality. The Hitlerite fascists in Germany were terribly excited about the German superiority to everybody else, things like that. Fascism and nationalism have often gone together in exaggerated forms. The next thing that fascism does is it advocates for a merger between the government and big business. And they mean a merger with the people who own and operate big business. The deal is struck between them that, look, by itself, you businessmen, by yourselves, you can't make things work. That's why this society is falling apart. And so you need the help of the government to make your system, your capitalist system, work. The fascists are not against capitalism. They want capitalism to work. They present themselves to capitalists as what it is the capitalists need to make their system work. You can see it again in embryo here in the United States. The capitalists who used to make fun of the government as an unwanted, unnecessary intrusion upon the economy are now falling all over themselves, begging for money, which they are getting in the trillions of dollars. American capitalism today is literally on government life support with all the money that the government, both the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve, our central bank, are delivering. This is where fascism wants to work things out. The Germans like to talk about an organic economy, by which they meant that the government, in the name of the nation, would fall in behind the capitalists, make the economy work, get back to some original German authentic community. They might have worn a hat that said, "Make Germany Great Again," so you see the parallels again. Socialists are a very different animal. What socialists want is not to make capitalism work better. What socialists want is not to have capitalism, to say it's done, it's over, it's failed. We need to go to another system. So the socialists don't come up and say to the capitalists, "You need us, let's work a deal." That's what fascists do. Socialists say, we don't want you, we don't need you, you've got to go. We, the socialists, are now going to take over the government, and reorganize the economy so it is run and serves the mass of working people, not some small group of private owners of shares or boards of directors of corporations. All that's gone. The government, in the name of all the people, is going to run the economy for the benefit of all the people, not for the 1%. So the socialists are obviously looked upon as enemies of capitalism, and capitalists therefore don't like them, very rarely make any kind of deal with them, and are mostly interested in getting rid of them. And there's where the fascists also come in. We will get rid of them, Mr. Hitler said. You give me the government and I'll get rid of the socialists, which he did. He killed large numbers of them. He forced them into exile. He arrested them. The enmity between socialists and fascists is very old, runs very, very deep, and you can see it now in the Antifa versus the right-wing boogie boys, and so on, the embryo of the same thing. Well, then how do we explain Mussolini? A lot of people enter politics knowing only one thing. They don't like what's going on. They don't like the way society is working. They feel neglected. They feel abused. They feel denied the opportunities that they believe they deserve and that others around them, they think, are getting. And so they want change. That drives people then to look into politics, especially those who haven't had much experience. And they look at those who are critical of the way things are, because that's how they feel. And if they hear a fascist talking like that, they kind of go in that direction. And if they hear a socialist talking like that, they kind of go in that direction. And at first, they're interested only in the criticism of what's going on and the suggestion of how it could be better and how they might help get to that better place. After a while of being involved in either movement, they typically learn about the other movement, and now they recognize, as I'm trying to explain, that being a critic of the system is one thing, but being an active person, you kind of have to make a decision about where you want things to go if you're not happy with where things are. And at that point, the fascists give you a very different trajectory than the socialists. Why did particularly Mussolini start with the socialists and go to the fascists? I'm not sure. I'm no expert on that subject. But here's what I would guess, because I've seen it in others. The socialists, in a sense, have a harder row to hoe. The system hates them. The capitalists who sit at the top of capitalism hate them. They may not like the fascists, but they hate the socialists. So to get ahead politically, it's much harder if you're on the left than if you're on the right. All kinds of people, like Mr. Trump, far on the right, were able to get in to the Republican Party. Bernie Sanders, much less to the left than Trump was to the right, he could not get into the Democratic Party. They blocked him. That's the normal situation. So if you want change and you're looking for a political career, as no doubt Mussolini was, you probably ended up going the fascist route rather than the socialist route. But both of them are looking to organize, to attract, and to mobilize the victims and the critics of capitalism. And much of history has depended on which of these two has done the better job of mobilizing, attracting, and organizing the critics and the victims. And my guess is that's where we're headed right now here in the United States as well. This is Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work, thanking our Patreon community, as always, for their support and their questions.